Hey, and welcome to Real Talk for Coaches, where we explore the trends, techniques, transformative power of coaching. In today's episode, we explore the purpose and importance of coach development. I'm Dr. Dawn Reid, your host, and my insightful, illustrious co-host, Coach Will, joins me today.
Hey, y'all.
And together, we are going to unravel what makes coach development beneficial and essential to your coaching journey. And as you know, we love to banter before we get into the topic. So how you doing, Mr. Glover? How you doing?
Well, I started to run in here like the 5 Heartbeats when Eddie Kane Jr. ran in at the beginning. And see, you don't remember the movie, do you?
I'm in my head going, wait. And I love the 5 Heartbeats. So now I'm trying to think, what scene is he talking about? Oh, he ran on the stage.
When he ran on the stage, I started to do my entrance and do that and just run out, but I just figured that wouldn't.
Not this one.
No,
okay. We're going to have to do another podcast.
Maybe another.
Well, we can do that.
Yeah. All right.
Also,
I've been all right.
You've been all right? Good. I think this matches the topic, so I guess I can banter a little bit about it. I am in the process of recertifying for my PCC. So as you know, and we're going to talk about this anyway in one of our wonderful little upcoming episodes. So I'm recertifying right now.
All right.
And this is part of the development, and it's I forget because we have to recertify every 3 years. So I forget that this is a process that we have to work on. So now I'm like looking at all of my coaching hours, and I'm looking at, okay, how many CCEs I have because I have to have 40, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I forgot that this is a process, and I have to have it in by June, which is not bad. I have time.
So with, I know we weren't going to talk about that, but like with your recertifying, is there different processes to it? Like,
yes.
Do you have to?
Yes.
Go ahead. Because I know,
and it connects to what we're going to talk about today. Right, so it's okay. I'm gonna be a little preemptive a little bit, but yeah, there is like for example with the ACC level, you still got to get your 10 hours of mentoring. You have to have 40 CCEs, and you can't get it no other way but through training, right? Whereas at the PCC level and the MCC level, and we're going to talk about that in an upcoming episode of like the different credentials and stuff like that. Right. But like with me, like right now, I can use the fact that I train and facilitate coaching. Right. So I can use that. I can use the fact that I do coach mentoring as part of these are my CCEs, these are my development hours and stuff like that. So I feel that there's a little bit more flexibility the higher you go in your credentials. And I think you even have a little bit more flexibility with MCC. And the only reason why I'm not doing MCC right now is because I don't have the 2,500 coaching hours. I thought I did. I thought I did. But as I started looking at and calculating, I'm like, 1,800, like 3 years, only got 1,800 hours. What happened? So, but to say all that to say, yes, it's the same requirement, but there's different flexibility the higher you go up the ranks.
Now, that could, just based on what you just said about your hours, that could just bring up a whole nother thing of making sure that they keep tab of their hours that they have. Because you could be doing something and then just don't record your hours, and then you're sitting there like, I know I did, and wait a minute, hold on, and you don't have anything recorded, or you have half of what you need recorded when you probably could have done more.
That's kind of where I'm sitting. And the funny thing is, don't laugh, everybody, don't laugh. So in my training courses, I have a tracker. It automatically tracks your hours. Yeah, I know. Don't judge me. We listen and we don't judge. Exactly.
Mm.
And I have a tracker and it's automatic and it's not rocket science. I set it up. But see, me and my little smart self, like I should be recording it after every session. No, I wait till I'm about to recertify. Then I start going through all of my notes and all of my dates. And I'm like, oh man. So yeah. And and because of that process, I just recognized that I have a little over 1,800 hours.
Okay.
And not 2,500 hours. So I have everything else to beat MCC, but my hours. So I'm working on that. So I'm going to be giving some coaching discounts for those who like some coaching so I can get my coaching hours.
And where would they get that at?
They will get that at drdawnreid.com. Dawnreid.com. Yes.
All right.
All right. I'm sorry. We done took so much time but just banter, but that's okay. Because it's still connected. It's still connected.
Yes.
So we want to talk about, in today's segment, foundations of coach development and the role that continuous learning plays in our coaching journey as coaches. And so I think it's important that we understand that training and development is going to be a part of your coaching journey as a professional coach. And once you decide this is what you want to do, and especially if you become a credentialed coach, whether it's ICF, IAC, EMCC, BCC, there is this push that you should always have continual development. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, is that process. What questions do you have? What thoughts do you have?
Well, just, going over what, our notes and everything here. I know there are like the 4 different categories, and then there's subcategories under the categories.
And then there's subcategories.
Yeah, well, hey, if you want to go that deep,
We ain't going to go that deep today.
Yeah.
I say if you want to go that deep, you got to take one class. But you're right.
That's a good one.
Take the class.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So let's like there's foundation, co-creating the relationship, communicating effectively, and cultivating growth. Right? Now, when you're doing those, right? And just looking from what we went over there, like 8 other subcategories. Now, are they, just so you could explain, are those 8 subcategories in each of those main categories? Like, does foundation have the 8, or is it like there's just 8 overall, and like foundation may have 2, co-creating may have 3 of those, and then like, or is it like, or does it break down that way, or do we know?
So I like your question. I love your question. So if I'm hearing you correctly, as I put my coach hat on, if I'm hearing correctly, you're asking a question around how are the fundamental core competencies broken down? Because this is part of your development. You should be working on these particular competencies. And again, we're talking about ICF competencies. So I just want to be clear about that. So you're correct. It is 4 categories that they look at, and you named them already, right? And then the 8 competencies are broken down amongst those 4 categories, right? So I think foundations have like the first 2 or 2, and then the next one has like 3, the next one has like 2. So it's broken down, but it's like 8 of them, and then they're broken down under each category depending on where they fit in the category. So for example, the foundations is all about setting the agreement and ethical practice and things like that. And then when you get co-creating the relationship, it's more about active listening and maintaining presence and those types of things, evoking awareness, all of those. I think that might be in the 3rd category though. But anyway, developing trust. So when you're developing the competencies, it is about breaking them down into the different categories, then the competencies. But then to your point, what you said earlier, is that the competencies also break down into particular behavioral markers. I call them key behavioral indicators. That's what I call them. But they're really just markers on what types of behaviors should be showing up for you as a coach. And that's what your development pieces really are about, is how are you fine-tuning those competencies and those markers to make sure that they're showing up in
Mhm.
your coaching session.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Did I explain, Lucy? Did I
Yeah.
explain?
I think you did. I think you did a pretty good job. I taught you well. Yeah.
Yes, you did. You taught me well.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I taught you well. So when you recertify, just going back into this, so it doesn't matter if you recertify, like if you're, whatever, you have to have all these particular, you have to go over all these categories and subcategories, no matter what type of coach you are, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so it covers, it's all encompassing.
Yes. And if I'm understanding you correctly, so for example, I call myself a personal and professional growth architect, right? There may be other coaches who are career coaches. There might be somebody else
Right.
that's an executive leadership coach. Yes, all of these competencies should show up in your coaching session in some way. Now, your style of coaching, you may foster these competencies based upon how you facilitate the coaching process. Like, for instance, I might use my mind model, which helps me really focus in on presence and active listening, which are key competencies, right? But that's just how those competencies are facilitated in my coaching sessions. Another coach might facilitate the coaching process in a different way. But when you look at recertifying, we're talking about the training or the mentoring that you do or receive and how you're developing those skill sets within the framework that you are facilitating. So again, the idea is that is active listening showing up, is maintaining presence showing up. Now, how you facilitate its show up is up to you as a coach.
Okay. So that brings you to the next topic. Well, not next really topic, but next point here, like with the coaching development. So to me, I would think coaching development because, like, I know I work in IT. So I know during the IT world, you have to go through recertification every 3 years, very similar to, the coaching field. And you have to have CEUs or you have to, retake your test or anything of that, retake your certification test or anything. That's another question I meant to ask.
What?
So you have CEUs, CCEs.
Yes.
Now, is there another way? Is there? I'm backtracking here.
It's okay.
Are there any other ways to recertify besides that one particular way? Only reason I ask because I know in the IT world you may be going to get recertified, but there may be 3 different ways for you to get recertified for your certification.
I thought I answered it, but I'll do it again.
I know you did through the CCEs, but I'm like, is that the only?
Yes, you have to have. So, for example, you have to have 40 CCEs every 3 years.
Okay.
But those CCEs can be created or gained in different ways.
Okay.
And it also depends on what credential you're holding or recertifying in. Like I said earlier, with the ACC. And well, I shouldn't say that. No, I'm right. So I had to think about it. So with the ACC, you have to have 10 hours of mentoring. There is no getting over it. You have to have 40 CCEs of training. Like you went to a training class, right? Yeah. PCC, like me, I have taught classes. I have had some of the classes that I teach credentialized. I think that's the right word. Or accredited. So with that being said, because I teach an accredited class, it counts as development. And especially because you have to have like 16 CCEs of core competencies. That's the 8 categories we talked about. Well, 4 categories and 8 competencies. And 3 of those CCEs must be ethics. You have to have 3 CCs of ethics. So that right there is like 19 CCEs automatically that you have to have no matter what. But then most of it is really a lot of training. Like you just have to have a lot of training. So I think I answered your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so one of the other things that's important to remember is that your professional development also helps your client. And I think a lot of coaches, I think they fail to recognize that the more you develop, the better you're going to be able to serve your clients. And I run into a lot of coaches who go, I don't want another certification. I don't want to take another class. And I'm like, teach his own, no judgment. I'm
They're happy
listening.
where they are.
They're happy where they are.
Right.
And hey, I'm not here to tell you what you got to do. However, I am of the belief that human beings are so complex and what we understand can change. How we just the implications of AI. Just AI alone changes how we work, how we play, how we live life, how we achieve goals, right? The social media. That's another thing that could really impact how your clients operate, function, move. And I think that as coaches, we have to understand the significance and the impact of these technologies in how our clients achieve goals, how they measure success, how they define success, because that can change. When you're on social media, you may have a different view and have a different perspective. And like beauty, I'll have a client that come in who's like, I'm overweight and I don't get a lot of likes on social media. And like, how do we navigate that as coaches when they come in and their self-esteem is based upon the illusion that social media offers? But you would have to have the right training and the right mentoring and the right supervision as a coach to understand how that impacts your client. Just with the current DEI and initiatives that are going on right now, as a matter of fact, real quickly, I was on a meeting today with one of the companies I consult with because they had to give us direction on if we're coaching government employees, we can't use DEI. So now as coaches, we have to develop a new way of approaching that topic because we can't mention DEI or give them DEI supportive tools because as a government employee, it goes against the executive order.
Right.
So it goes back into how you develop is important to how you show up as a coach. And I think that's the thing that a lot of coaches miss. They feel like it's one and done. I took this quick 6 months class and I'm good. But that's not true. You are always developing your skills. And I tell that to every coach in every class that I train. You want to be a coach? For real? Then you're going to always be growing and developing yourself because life changes, people change, the way we approach life changes, and we have to be ready for that change. So yes, how you coach and how you develop impact the people you work with.
Now, do you see a difference in your coaching experience as far as like the transformation of it? Let's say a younger client versus an older client, and the way the mindset, like when you're like, because you spoke about like AI and things of that nature, where um an older client may think a certain way. May say, okay, no, this is how I think. Where a younger client may be like, well, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and I want to do this, and you're looking at, and you're like, wow, okay. So so that I think that's where the training, you have to be able to transform, you have to be able to adjust to your client. So that's where some of that training could come in at. Like when you said, some people say, I don't want to do a particular thing. I'm good where I'm at. But have you had that experience where?
Absolutely. And I think that's a great point to make. And I always say I'm a diehard Gen Xer. I really am. And because of me taking development classes to coach across generations, because again, remember I have millennials and no, I don't know, no. I do have millennial. I'm sorry. I have millennials and I have the other ones. What's it? Gen Zers?
Gen Zers,
Yeah, Gen Z and
millennials.
alphas. I don't have alphas. I have Zers and millennials. And I have to remember that those age groups, they have a different worldview. They have a different experience. Technology is huge in their life. And so
Yeah.
I can't expect them to think or understand how we function or how we think, right? And there was a time when I first started coaching millennials and Gen Zers. I transparency. I had the mindset of, yeah, you guys are being snowflakes. Suck it up. Like, suck it up, Buttercup. What are you doing? Right? And again, I was stuck in my head and I was judging because I'm coming from a Gen Xer type of mind frame.
Yep.
And after taking development classes around generational coaching, I was able to change my mindset. And plus, I also tapped into my psychology. So, yeah. So, yes, this is where development is important because it helps you understand those dynamics that change. And you have to change your perspective too as a coach in order to support your clients through their transformation using coaching. Just to start to wind up, the final topic that we can quickly go through is the future of coach development. And this is a tough one, really. I absolutely see AI and technology being huge, bigly in how we develop. But I think that we're going to see a lot more micro training, like, because there's so much. And even I'm beginning to change how I deliver my coaching. I'm giving people options. Like, I have a self-paced training and development course, but I also have instructor-led training and development courses. I also think that because we're a global citizenry, I think it's going to be important for us as coaches to develop training that's not just English based.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
We're going to have material that's multilingual. I know I use closed caption as we speak. I use closed caption in my training, especially when I know I have a particular demographic where English is a second language. So I think that's going to be huge as we have more emerging markets worldwide, that we're going to have to develop programs that are multilingual. I think I see those as big changes. As we wrap up, what are your thoughts? Any changes that you see?
I do believe that multilingual is definitely in play. And believe it or not, I think personality comes into role as well. I think people have a tendency, if they can't identify with a person, they don't want to, like, okay, you know what? I can't really get with that person and say I don't really identify with them. I'm just going to go to the next person or whatever. So I think identity being, even though you don't get into it to be appealing to everyone, but I think it's a personal thing. Like, we've all had that teacher in high school or something that you just be like, you know what, that the way that person explained this to me, I just get it. And it was either how they explained it to you or their personality. And I think it, even though of course we're not in high school anymore. I think people still look for that, a somewhat of a connection. I mean, I could be wrong.
Well, no, but see, real quickly, and we could probably talk about this in a future session too, is your connection. And this is the beauty about coaching. And I always tell my clients, like the first session, I always say, to me, the coaching, building relationship part is like a good pair of shoes. I'm like, you don't necessarily like every pair of shoes. Certain shoes you wear better than others. So pick the shoes that work for you. I'm never offended by a client who doesn't choose me, because if I don't resonate with you, then I'm not going to be an effective coach for you. And as coaches, again, part of development is that we learn how to have that conversation and not take it personal. And I think it's important for coaches to learn it's not personal. If you don't resonate with them and they don't resonate with you, you refer them out and you tell them, good luck.
Yep.
Right. But anyway, I know we're kind of at the end of our segment. Oh my God. We always have fun. I want to thank everybody so much for coming in. Definitely, if you want to know more, you could go to my website, readready.com or drdawnreed.com. Please follow me and Coach Will on social media. We're both on Instagram, Facebook, definitely on LinkedIn. So definitely check us out. And please tune in for the next episode.
And you may see me running in, like, you may see me just doing that.
I
may.
You. Do not.
I don't know yet.
Are you going to sing too?
Yeah, again. So yeah, just tune in next time. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.